It's collection day in Coon Rapids, and we find recycling driver Jeff Wright at work lifting carts at the touch of a button. He closely watches everything dumped into the hopper.
And you generally have a few customers where you can kind of count on them putting something that doesn't belong, or you kind of get an idea of what's coming.
And today it doesn't take long to find something that doesn't belong.
These pots aren't necessarily recycling.
In times like this, Walters Recycling tries to educate customers.
First thing we do is we have cart hangers that we actually hang on the carts that we can notify the customer about what is acceptable, what isn't acceptable, and also to let them know and touch base with them that this wasn't acceptable this week.
And then the big motto with recycling is when in doubt, toss it out.
Some of us, it seems, could use a refresher course on the basics, a little curbside recycling 101. So we brought Coon Rapids Recycling Coordinator Colleen Sinclair in studio to help us with recycling curbside.
Yeah, so what makes an item recyclable is if we have the ability to make it into something else. So if there's a strong demand for that item, then we can put it on the accepted items list.
On the table, we have some basic recycling items, starting with plastics.
Yep, so plastics can be really confusing to the general public. How we identify plastic is if it has, on the bottom of every item, you'll see an arrow. It looks like a recycling symbol. Inside that symbol is a number. Numbers 1, 2, and 5s are all accepted curbside for recycling, and we ask that you keep the caps on the items.
And next up, we have some cans here.
Yep, so aluminum tin cans are the only two types of metal that should be placed in a curbside recycling bin. No other metal should go in a bin.
And how about the glass?
Yeah, so when it comes to glass, we want only food and beverage containers. Anything that is not something that you would drink from or get food from should not be placed in your recycling bin either.
And over here, we have a variety of paper products that are recyclable.
Yeah, so paper is a little bit, there's more of it, so there's more questions that come with it. What makes something recyclable, it needs to be dry and clean. If it goes in your cupboard or your pantry at home, then it's something that can be recycled. If it goes in your refrigerator or your freezer, then we ask that you do not put it in the recycling bin.
In fact, there are far more things people wish they could recycle curbside.
It's called wish cycling. For the average person who doesn't quite understand what might be recyclable and what is not, they wish something would be recyclable, and that's what we call it. So when it comes to the metal, all of these items here are recyclable. They just are not recycled curbside. So it's common that we'll see, the handle off of a broom or a shovel, the shovel head, car parts, pots and pans, coat hangers. The big problem here that we have is Christmas lights. They're metal on the inside, plastic on the outside. Commonly, put in the recycling bin when they should not. The problem with these, we call them tanglers. At the recycling facility, they get caught up in the machinery and they get wrapped around the sprockets that are in there that moves everything around and actually will close down a plant.
So we have here is a hoodie, and this one people have found in their curbside recycling?
It is. It's actually a really common item, and again, it goes back to the concept that everyone knows these items are recyclable and that they have a second life, but they just have to go in a separate avenue. They can't go curbside because we don't have the means to get them to where they need to go.
Now, I was surprised on this next one. We have baby diapers.
Yeah, you'd be really surprised, and what the confusion base comes from is if you look at the box itself that the diapers come in, there is a recycling symbol on that. That means the box itself is recyclable, not the diaper. So the diaper should always be thrown in the trash can and never the recycling bin. But when we talked about earlier looking at the things we could recycle, we mentioned the pantry versus the fridge and freezer. So if something goes in the fridge and freezer, we don't want it in there. There's an additive in there that makes it not recyclable. So that's why we keep those out. Egg cartons are mostly glue and very little paper fiber, so they're more of a contaminant than they are anything being recycled for them.
Now we have a glass here.
Another big confusion. So beverage glass that we buy at the stores is made differently than a cup that you'd have in your cupboard, coffee cup, a vase, your mirror from your bathroom, things like that. Well, yes, they're all glass. They're not processed the same, and so that makes one recyclable and one not.
And our last item here, plastics. People think all of these items are recyclable.
Yeah, plastics can be really confusing and overwhelming to everyone. Plastic is not created equal, and as we talked about with that identification system, the 1s, 2s, and the 5s, you can see here, none of this fits that bill. So the front item there is black. It is a number 1, but it's black. Anything that's not clear or opaque is not recyclable, so there's no market for that. Plastic bags, and the envelopes, again, common conception, it's plastic, it should be recycled, and it can be, it's just not in the curbside bin. And then lastly, bagging your recycling. If you're gonna put your recycling in a bag, use a brown paper grocery bag, and put that in your bin or empty it out. A lot of residents will put the recycling in a bag like that. It's really great clean recycling in that bag. It's wonderful material, but when it's contained in a bag, it just makes it become trash. There's no way for the sorting lines to identify that, break it open, and recycle what's inside of it.
And while some waste haulers have started to charge a fee for plastic bags, Walters isn't there yet.
If it's something that's just right on top of the bin, drivers are instructed to just jump out, grab the plastic bags, put them in the trash, and then dump the rest of the recycling, and then put a tag on there.
Poor recycling etiquette tends to develop pet peeves in drivers, like Jeff Wright.
Trying to shove things on the top just to get them in a can, it's just better off set them in a bag right next to it.
It's important that we all follow the rules of the road, and the same can be said for recycling.
And a big thing is spreading the cans out. It's supposed to be given about 3 feet.
For more tips on curbside recycling, check out the Walters Facebook page and the City of Coon Rapids website.
Our thanks to Walters Recycling and Colleen Sinclair for giving us the curbside recycling lesson today.